The Mendiola Consortium is an organization of the four institutions located in Mendiola: Centro Escolar University, College of the Holy Spirit, La Consolacion College, San Beda College. Mendiola Street is a short thoroughfare in Manila, Philippines. The street is named after Enrique Mendiola, an educator, textbook author, and member of the first Board of Regents of the University of the Philippines. As a street close to Malacanang Palace, the President of the Philippines' official residence, it has been the site of numerous demonstrations. The germ of the idea of the Mendiola Consortium was sown as early as 1969 when the school papers of the four institutions published a joint editorial entitled The Mendiola University. The MC Memorandum of Agreement was finalized and signed by the heads of the four member schools on August 9, 1975. On August 11, 1981, the Mendiola Consortium bylaws was signed by the members of the Board of Trustees. The consortium started its operation with four standing committees, namely Academic Affairs, Non-Academic Affairs, Finance, and Physical Facilities. Hosting of meetings was rotated among the four schools so that the spirit of cooperation could immediately be felt in the very holdings of the meetings. It was in the year 2007 when St. Jude Catholic School was accepted as cooperator member of the Mendiola Consortium. However, it was only in the year 2012 when St. Jude Catholic School became a full-fledged or fifth member of the Mendiola Consortium. The present MC structure shows a hierarchical organization with a board of trustees at the helm. The present board is composed of the five heads from Centro Escolar University, San Beda University, College of the Holy Spirit Manila, La Consolacion College Manila, and St. Jude Catholic School, or their representatives, and two or three members from outside agencies, including the Manila Mayor. At the beginning of the school year, the five heads and representatives hold the positions of chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and auditor respectively on a rotation basis. The working committees and subcommittees execute annual plans. The bylaws delineate the duties of each committee and include the planning and implementation functions of MC programs. Major accomplishments. In 2000, Mendiola was declared a zone of peace by then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. With Mendiola Street as a peace zone, the MC liaison officers, headed by the executive director, formulated a 10-year peace trust from which all activities of the Mendiola Consortium is anchored. In 2009, through the efforts of the Mendiola Consortium, a footbridge was constructed along Legarda and Mendiola streets. Mendiola Peace Arch was built in 2010 with human and financial assistance from the Office of the President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and the PSG Engineers Group. Here are the board of directors and the Mendiola Consortium liaison officers.
In behalf of the administrators, faculty, and students of the Bedan community, I would like to express our warmest congratulations and greeting of felicitation to the Mendiola Consortium on the occasion of its 45th year anniversary of foundation. Truly, those 45 years are years of challenges and blessings. Challenges that strengthen us together in our pursuit of educational mission. Blessings that keep us united to achieve excellence and service to our students, faculty, and to the society as a whole. I would like to express special gratitude to the members of the Board of Trustees, to the presidents of the five-member school of this Mendiola Consortium, to the Executive Committee, to the Executive Director and liaison officers, to all the members of our committees and subcommittees who have worked selflessly, generously, with love and faith in the service of Mendiola Consortium. What a fitting occasion that this year we commemorate our anniversary with a relevant and timely theme, and that is journeying together as partners in our educational mission, addressing the challenges of our present learners. Truly, my dear brothers and sisters, during this grueling time of global COVID-19 pandemic, the member schools of Mendiola Consortium stand together to serve our people in all our capacity as an educational institution. Thank you, O Lord, for the blessings. At mabuhay po ang Mendiola Consortium.
Congratulations to all of us for making it to our 45th anniversary. That's 45 years is Sapphire anniversary as a consortium. Sapphire has traditionally symbolized nobility, truth, sincerity, and faithfulness. These virtues sum up the relationship forged over the years by our colleagues as they work together on joint projects and collaborated when working on common challenges and common dreams. 45 years ago, the leaders of our institutions came together to, and I quote, unite resources to enhance capability towards providing quality education and public service, and to participate more effectively in the attainment of national development. The question for us now is there still relevance for the consortium after 45 years? I would say yes. The global COVID-19 pandemic has had huge disruptive effects everywhere. But while the crisis has exposed weaknesses in many systems, including education, it has also created opportunities to develop new paradigms for quality education, public service, and national development as we confront not just the aftermath of this pandemic, but the continuing challenges of climate change, AI and technological disruptions, globalized social media, among many others. The educational solutions will include institutions involved in dialogue across all levels. For the Mendiola Consortium and other partnerships such as ours, there exists another truly exciting window of opportunity to learn from each other as schools forge ahead into this uncertain future. You all know that College of the Holy Spirit Manila will be with you only until next school year. But even as the consortium loses one of its pioneer members, we are confident that the Mendiola Consortium will continue to chart the way forward as together you face the new challenges of a post-pandemic world. On behalf of our leaders and colleagues over these years, we in College of the Holy Spirit Manila express our sincere gratitude for the professional and personal opportunities for growth provided by this collaboration. And we commit to sharing whatever we can until we close our doors in May 2022. Thank you, and we will let the Spirit live on.
On the occasion of our 45th anniversary as Mendiola Consortium, let us rejoice and thank the Lord for having united us all through these years as brothers and sisters, journeying together as partners in the mission of education. We address the challenges of present-day learners in the pursuit of values and academic excellence. We pray our Lord be our guide in this mission of evangelization and social transformation. Congratulations to our Mendiola Consortium schools, San Beda University, Centro Escolar University, La Consolacion College Manila, College of the Holy Spirit, St. Jude Catholic School. God be our only guide. God bless.
Warm greetings to the Mendiola Consortium community, to my fellow presidents and their constituencies, Father Aloysius Maranan, San Beda University, Dr. Waina Medina, College of the Holy Spirit, Sister Maria Luz Mijares, La Consolacion College, and Father Roland Aquino, St. Jude Catholic School. In addition to the warm greetings, I would also like to congratulate everyone, all of you, all of us, for having sustained the Mendiola Consortium for 45 years. Actually, not simply sustained, but nurtured and prospered. We have witnessed how our speaking with one voice have achieved many shared objectives, like better lighting of our street, the Mendiola Street, and the closure of unwanted establishments in our neighborhood. We have had many opportunities to share best practices with one another and to learn together during co-sponsored workshops and lectures and some benchmarking activities. We presidents have consulted with one another on common concerns such as class suspensions and security issues. And on the side, I am sure, many friendships were formed and had blossomed in our consortium. I would like to thank my fellow presidents for the friendship and the sharing that takes place during our meetings. I would like to thank our school communities, for it is them who planned and implemented the activities of the consortium. Although the past year has resulted in less opportunities for us to work together, we must resolve to continue using the many virtual communication technologies and platforms which we are now getting good at putting to work. We would also like to thank our Secretariat, Dr. Chit Salonga and Ms. Tata Sagun, and our liaison officers for coordinating the work of committees, consolidating plans, and spearheading activities as well. As we traverse the many difficult paths in this pandemic, let us take advantage of the support that we can get from each other in the consortium. Let us find ways to strengthen that support, and let us pray for the Lord to be our guide. Thank you, and congratulations once again to all of you, all of us.
Allow me to greet the Mendiola Consortium member schools a happy and blessed 45th founding anniversary. With the pandemic context that we are in, our celebration is historic as it is done through an online format. An unprecedented disruption in our educational life so far in the post-World War II era, or at least in living memory. But we should not lose sight of the perspective that has been our common source of confidence and hope. The Mendiola Consortium is at the helm of a very challenging and crucial management transition, consistent with a common vision and resilient journey together to respond to the needs of our present-day learners. Our schools have proven their resilience, flexibility, and commitment in providing responsive and quality learning opportunities to students. This interim is pivotal, as our administrators have been given opportunities to create new learning pathways and to gravitate to this new normal, to build a more inclusive, efficient, and relevant educational environment here in the historic Mendiola. Again, cheers to more years of Mendiola Consortium. God bless.
Good afternoon. Welcome welcome to the Mendiola Consortium's celebration of its 45th founding anniversary through this webinar with the theme Journeying Together as Partners in the Mission of Education Addressing the Challenges on Present Day Learners Part 2. I am Saivil Agreda and I will be your host in this afternoon's program. The webinar is streamed live via the official Facebook page of the Mendiola Consortium and San Beda University, Manila. Also, we are streamed live via Centro Escolar University's YouTube channel. It is going to be a very interesting afternoon for us because we will have two esteemed educators and curriculum shapers from the Department of Education and the Commission on Higher Education as speakers this afternoon. So, to start this program, we begin with the invocation followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, both led by the Central Escolar University Singers, Manila.
We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He chastens and hastens His will to make known. The wicked oppressing now sees them from distressing. Sing praises to His name. He forgets not His own. Beside us to guide us, our God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining His kingdom divine. So from the beginning, the fight we were winning, the Lord was on our side. All glory be thine. 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 We all do extol thee, thou leader, triumphant, and pray that thou still our defender will be. Let thy congregation escape tribulation, thy name be ever praised. O Lord, make us, Lord, make us free. Bayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisingin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghaw, malilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang islat ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang higaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Welcome to those who have just tuned in. This is the Mendiola Consortium's webinar in celebration of its 45th founding anniversary And for those who aren't familiar, Mendiola Consortium is composed of schools in the Mendiola area, namely San Beda University, Centro Escolar University, La Consolacion College Manila, College of the Holy Spirit Manila, and St. Jude Catholic School. Of course, we greet the presidents of our Mendiola Consortium schools, Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan, OSB, Dr. Maria Cristina D. Padalina, Sister Maria Luz F. Mijares, OSA, Dr. Waina Maria Medina, and Reverend Father Rolando Aquino, SVD, MTS. And of course, to all the members of the Mendiola Consortium who are tuning in right now, kindly post your shout out or your greetings either in the comment section of the Facebook Live of the Mendiola Consortium or of San Beda University, Manila. Or you can do that also in the YouTube Live of Centro Escolar University. The 45 years mark of harmonious partnerships and fruitful collaborations of the schools in Mendiola is a joyous occasion. And what better way to celebrate the successful years as partners, but this activity to further foster our commitment as members of the Mendiola Consortium and continue sharing not only our woes, but insights, learning, and knowledge. So we can build each other together to achieve our educational mission. And so, friends, it is time to hear the opening remarks from the chair of the Mendiola Consortium, Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan of the Order of St. Benedict, the Rector President of San Beda University.
Good afternoon, my dear administrators, faculty, and students, my dear colleagues, friends, and guests of the Mendiola Consortium. Happy anniversary of foundation to all of us. This afternoon, I formally welcome you to our much-awaited and very relevant webinar entitled Journeying Together as Partners in the Mission of Education, Addressing the Challenges of the Present-Day Learners. Truly, my dear friends, in the face of the grueling global COVID-19 pandemic awaiting us in our uncharted educational journey, Mendiola Consortium seeks to respond well and to help all our stakeholders in addressing the various challenges that come our way. Truly, Mendiola Consortium is one in seeking solutions to the problems awaiting our young students. But through our working together, when we work hand in hand, we shall be able to overcome these challenges and find ways and means to ensure achievement of our mission. This afternoon, I invite all of you to listen attentively and to participate well in our webinar. We have provided you with the best speakers who are to be introduced to us later. Be mindful that this occasion is an important aspect of our educational life. Let this be a testament that the Mendiola Consortium, in its 45th anniversary, continues to serve the needs of our stakeholders. So, my dear students, faculty, and administrators, especially to all of us who are here in the StreamYard, and all of you who are joining us through YouTube and Facebook, I hope you will be able to gather knowledge and use this data to really accentuate and elevate our education. God bless everyone. Mabuhay po ang Mendiola Consortium. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Enjoy the rest of our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan, OSB, for your warm, welcoming remarks. And mabuhay ang Mendiola Consortium. Now we proceed to business, and I will now introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction of the Department of Education. He holds a research PhD in education from the University of Newcastle, Australia. He has been tasked to coordinate the ongoing review of the K 12 curriculum. He also attempts to find ways of ensuring that every learner achieves authentic literacy. He pushes for transparency, ethics, and accountability in school governance. In addition, he believes that a strong rewards and recognition system is an effective way to encourage officials and teachers to aim for excellence. Furthermore, he strengthens a strong research culture towards meaningful innovations for learning. And finally, he nurtures productive partnerships with all educational stakeholders. He is one of the 5 Presidential Gawad Career Executive Service awardees for 2019 for his role in fostering a positive organizational culture in the Department of Education Calabarzon by advocating for transparent, ethical, and accountable governance affecting 120,000 teachers, serving 3.8 million learners, for nurturing an intensive and collaborative research culture in Calabarzon, allowing basic educators to implement evidence-based best practices, and for building the competencies of regional officials through its PRINCE, standing for proactive, results-oriented, intelligent, network building, credible, and empowering model. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, here's our first speaker, Undersecretary Diosdado M. San Antonio, PhD, CESO 3, Undersecretary for Curriculum Instruction of the Department of Education.
Name of Secretary Leonor Liling Magtolis Briones, the Department of Education conveys its congratulations to the Mendiola Consortium on the occasion of your 45th anniversary. It's really important that we join hands in addressing common concerns. So our gratitude to Father Aloysius Maranan, um, the chair of the Mendiola Consortium, Centro Escolar University, San Beda University, College of the Holy Spirit in Manila, La Consolacion College Manila, and St. Jude Catholic School for coming up with an activity such as this that will allow all of us to perhaps understand each other more and also learn from one another. Of course, all of us feel that the COVID-19 has given us a lot of challenges, big challenges. But the Department of Education, of course, pushed very hard to make learning happen even during the COVID-19 emergency. And our basic education learning continuity plan is guided by 5 principles that guide us in the decisions that we made before and we are making even now and we will make in the future. It's about the Department of Education being able to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the learners, teachers, and personnel, and prevent the further transmission of COVID-19. Everything we do has to really make sure that everyone is protected and safe. Our second principle is about ensuring learning continuity, And we are doing this by having made adjustments in the K to 12 curriculum, by aligning our learning materials, by implementing multiple learning delivery modalities, and by providing corresponding teacher and parent or guardian training so that everyone will really be able to provide the support expected as learners will be learning from home. The third principle is in facilitating the safe return of teaching and non-teaching personnel and learners to work and schools based on scenarios projected by the Department of Health and the IATF, complemented by other credible sources and balanced by our own risk assessments in the Department of Education. The raging issue now is how are we preparing for the initial implementation of the so-called limited face-to-face once allowed by the president. And we have established standards and requirements for the schools to be able to really provide limited face-to-face learning experiences for our youngsters. The private schools would also perhaps be guided by this set of guidelines we will issue once face-to-face classes are allowed, even on a limited scale. The fourth principle is the sensitivity of the things we do to equity considerations and concerns and endeavor to address them as best as we can. We know that the learners have different situations, especially in the public schools. We have learners coming from disadvantaged classes or groups, and appropriate adjustments should be made so that these learners are given an equal chance to learn as well compared with their more fortunate counterparts. And finally, the fifth principle of our basic education learning continuity plan is the link and bridge of this plan to our pivot to quality and to the future of education under our framework of sulong edukalidad and futures thinking and education. Prior to the release of the different international large-scale assessments, the Department of Education launched Sulong Edukalidad, which has four pillars captured in an acronym KITE, which is about K to 12 curriculum review and updating, um, intense attention to the inputs for teaching and learning, the teachers and school leaders upskilling and reskilling, and the engagement of stakeholders as the pillars of the Sulong Edukalidad. And of course, the Secretary of Education has also created a unit called Futures Thinking in Education Unit that takes a look and explores how basic education, particularly, will be perhaps years after our term ends in June 2022. We actually, as I've said, are preparing for the limited face-to-face classes, which will be piloted only once the president gives the go signal, only in areas with essentially very low COVID-19 cases for the last 30 days. And a requirement is the shared accountability of the Department of Education, the local government units, and parents. We feel that the schools should really collaborate closely with the local government counterparts, governors, city and municipal mayors, and barangay captains, so that appropriate measures are set in place. And the parents themselves will also be given a right to decide whether to allow their children to join the limited face-to-face pilot group, because if they feel that the children will be at risk, we will not force them. We will allow them to continue learning on distance mode. We'll also strictly adhere to health and social distancing protocols, and class schedules will be staggered, adjustments in the class sizes. As we have seen in our own analysis, you cannot have more than 20 learners in a classroom. So that's going to be observed. Will also be expected to make sure that the children are provided face mask, face shield, and are armed with hand sanitizing, um, um, like alcohol and other things that could be used to like hand washing facilities as well. And of course, we will expect the schools to have available response measures in case of COVID-19 infection in the school. Additional protocols such as temperature check and even refusal for those with symptoms to be allowed to enter the school will also be observed in these schools doing limited face-to-face classes. As I mentioned, there are challenges that the Department of Education has faced, and the pivot to quality has been made more challenging indeed by COVID-19. Pupils and students have experienced long period of disengagement from learning tasks. That's one challenge. Second, learners do not have same resources for home-based learning. So learners are truly diverse and they come from different backgrounds. We have been like pressured to develop MELCS-based quality learning materials within tight timelines. And providing support to learners and families under strict social distancing protocols is also a challenge. And finally, monitoring the extent of learning while pupils and students are home based is also a challenge for us. How did we respond to the challenges? In terms of pupils and students having experienced long period of disengagement from learning tasks, who therefore found the first week or the first month of the school year to be so burdensome, to really have overwhelming tasks, we said there would be academic ease. We invited our fellow teachers and our school officials and reminded them to be more considerate about the deadlines for the submission of outputs and adjustments as well on the required tasks were also made. We also provided psychosocial support for learners, parents, and teachers, and we continue to capacitate our fellow teachers and parents. Um, for learners that do not have same resources for home-based learning, we responded by again introducing academic ease, multiple modes for learning delivery, personalized home learning plans. We activated DepEd TV and radio-based instruction, and we harnessed support from the local government units, non-government organizations, and development partners. We know that not all learners have internet access, so we have to provide al- alternative modes for learning delivery, and the most popular is really the use of printed self-learning modules. And the home learning plans were prepared by the teachers to personalize to fit the kind of learners we had. And Depth and TV and radio-based instruction uh, provide opportunities for the learners and families to actually get a reinforcement of what they actually are studying using the modules. For the challenge on like the need to develop MELCS-based quality learning materials within tight timelines, we actually streamlined the K-12 curriculum to pay attention to the most essential learning competencies. We have created learning resource development teams at the CO, the central office, regional office, schools division office, and school levels, because we feel that yes, the teams should be capacitated, these learning resource evaluators, and the collaborative learning resource teams were also organized so that um, more heads are able to take part in quality assuring these learning resources. We even organized a tie-up with the Philippine Normal University for learning resource evaluation, particularly for quarters 3 and 4 SLMs. And we're harnessing the private publishers for our quarters 3 and 4 SLMs as well. And of course, to address the issue about errors, alleged errors, we also launched the Error Watch. In terms of the challenge relative to the need for learners and families to be provided support, the Department of Education has allowed the hiring or employment of learning support aides, and the schools are authorized to charge it from their funds, or even local governments. And we have many of them deciding to also provide financial support for the learning support aides. And we emphasize the need for more intense communication between the home and the school. We really feel that the need to be able to communicate very well the concerns of the home, the parents or the learners relative to the tasks being required to be performed by them will have to be properly supported by our fellow teachers. On the challenge of the complexity of monitoring the extent of learning while pupils and students are home-based, we have noted and we have allowed the social media as tools for sending learners outputs. We also encourage portfolio assessment. And in many instances, according to my own personal visits of the schools, teachers, even without being told, undertook and continue to undertake home visits or organize conversations with the learners and parents. What have I learned so far about life in the Department of Education, and how better or how proper it is to push for continued learning opportunities for the children? One, I have realized that collaborative planning and participatory decision making is better. Secretary Liling Briones has been so consultative. We are attending meetings with her at a minimum of once per week. And she, being a professor emeritus of public administration and finance, has really shown to us that it really pays when policies are extensively discussed with the relevant stakeholders. We empowered the key officials, and it brought about creativity and contextualized implementation of the learning continuity plan. We have seen a lot of interventions and initiatives from school principals, even our fellow teachers, that made them more responsive to the needs of the learners in their own schools or classes. We also I also have realized that indeed, when we continuously monitor and evaluate the things that we do, we are able to come up with timely and flexible responses to emerging challenges. We also, of course, have been through lots of disruptions in smaller scale prior to COVID-19. There was the volcano eruption. There were frequent class suspensions due to in heavy rains, typhoons, and even earthquakes. So these previous experiences in dealing with disruptions have made us more resilient in the Department of Education. And the other realization I have is working with the oldest DepEd secretary with the youngest mind actually inspires. When I feel sleepy at about 10 o'clock during meetings and I see our secretary who's 80 years old still very much alive, I feel embarrassed. And of course, I feel like energized that if Mom Liling can continue working beyond like the time that normally is expected of us, why should I, who is like almost 40 or 30 years younger than her? We cannot afford to be distracted by others who always watch out for what is wrong with what we do. Of course, you know this. There are people who would always like raise questions, object to the things that we wish to do. But I realized, of course, we all know this, that while they would perhaps be raising valid points and we learn from them, we take note of their points, but in the end, after the intense discussions that we would have, we make decisions, and then it's all about making sure that the children will truly learn. And finally, bayanihan is alive in the Department of Education. Bayanihan is alive not only in DepEd but in the country. We have seen lots of stakeholders coming forward to extend whatever share they can so that the youngsters will be ready for life. The Department of Education continues with the major initiatives. I have mentioned Sulong Edukalidad. I have mentioned the Futures Thinking Unit. So we're mapping education futures. We're reviewing the K to 12 curriculum, and hopefully by next year we'll be able to unveil more details of the enhanced version of the curriculum we're having now, particularly for the key stage 1, kindergarten to grade 3. We will provide quality assured learning resources and engage the private sector in learning resource production. We have created the Circle of Innovators for Learning because we feel that the innovators in our midst should multiply themselves, because if we have more people in our team focused on finding better ways of dealing with the challenges we face, it will be easier for us to attain our goals. We also have launched DepEd Teaches and the DepEd TV, DepEd Commons as our way of really making full use of all available resources, technology, to ensure that everybody, our fellow teachers, get updated with what is latest, and the learners get access to the learning resources through other media. We also are taking a serious look at the policy on the language of teaching and learning. Of course, the mother tongue based multilingual education is mandated by law, but as we are looking at how it is being implemented now, we see that there are adjustments needed to make the implementation more effective. We try to intensify a culture of research, we strengthen child protection, and we attempt to nurture learners' and teachers' well being, even as times are difficult. We are preparing for blended learning post COVID 19. I personally feel that the old traditional concept of schooling, where a child or a youngster reports to school every day, may have to give way to the blended one if this is preferred by the child. So what we're saying is that could be an option. But of course, when the better normal comes, there will be more opportunities to still face, uh, have the teachers and children come to school. But as I've said, we will recognize the option for home-based learning in certain areas. We will be focusing on the 21st century skills. We are redesigning our assessment strategies because we feel that we have to be assessing as well how effective we are in developing 21st century skills. And we will intensify measures and efforts for inclusive education. We do not like to see children being left behind. Thank you very much, and mabuhay. God bless.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Diosdado M. San Antonio. So I learned a lot from the talk of USEC, and I have a lot of things here on my notes as well. But to highlight what he said, of course, he shared with us, ladies and gentlemen, the continuity plan of DepEd. And also, he talked about the challenges. And for sure, we can relate as teachers, members of the Mendiola Consortium, we can relate to all those challenges. Challenges in having diverse students, having tight timelines. Of course, we adjusted in online teaching, so it was difficult to learn to become an online teacher, but well, we carried on. And also challenge on monitoring students and their learning. As a response, USEC San Antonio shared that they did adjust the tasks or they did academic ease or adjusted some requirements given to students. And then they capacitated the teachers and the parents as well. So it's very important to involve our parents in the education, of course, of their children. They also sought support from NGO and development partners. Also, they offered alternative mode of delivery of lesson. He even mentioned that they made use of the social media for students to send in their requirements. And also, he said they focused on the essentials. So, focused on the most important or the necessary things that students should learn. And then for errors, he said that they employed the error watch. On the lessons that I got from the talk of Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio of DepEd, I had three. One is make the most of what we had given the situation. With the unity shown by all stakeholders, of course, we can succeed. I'm sure you all agree on that. And then the key terms that remained with me as I listened to his talk are empower, communicate, initiate, stay resilient, and keep the spirit of bayanihan alive. Thank you once again very much, Undersecretary Diosdado M. San Antonio. Okay, so we will be proceeding with the open forum. If there are questions already for Undersecretary Diosdado M. San Antonio, please post it in our comment section, both in Facebook Live and in our YouTube channel. Okay, so we will be joined right now by someone who will be acting as moderator for our open forum or our Q&A. She is a psychometrician from Central Escolar University. Now I'd like to call in Miss Godette Nugit.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Sybil. Thank you for introducing me. And good afternoon to the Mendiola Consortium Committee. We're down to our question and answer portion, and I'm sure that you have insights and takeaways from the talk of our distinguished speaker, USEC San Antonio. So this is actually the opportune time for you to ask your questions that you have in mind. So siguro during the time na nagtotalk si USEC, meron na talaga tayong na-formulate ng mga tanong that is actually concerning not just teaching personnels, but also non-teaching personnels and how they're actually involved in this transition that we're having right now when it comes to education. So para sa ating mga Escolarians, Bedans, LCCians, CHCians, and Judenites, just type in your comments on the comment section in whichever platform that you're streaming right now, may it be in Facebook or on YouTube. So we will be entertaining the questions and it will be addressed by USEC San Antonio. So may we call on USEC San Antonio to answer questions that will be posted by our Mendiola Consortium netizens rather. Okay. So far po USEC, yes. So far po USEC, marami pong nagko-congratulate and nagte-thank you with it comes to the things that you've shared during your talk. So we're still trying to gather questions that will be posted through our social media accounts. Pero ikaw, Ma'am Sibyl, since meron kang mga takeaways kanina, no, na in-enumerate mo nga po, baka meron din po tayong tanong din na hindi pa siguro nasasagot base pa
Alright.
lang din sa naging talk ni Yusek San Antonio.
Ma'am Claude, am I audible right now?
Yes po.
All right, all right. I think my question is, for sure, the challenges presented by Undersecretary San Antonio are the challenges experienced at the grassroots by our teachers. I'm interested to know if these challenges are the same for the administrators in DepEd. For sure, the administrators who are watching here in Mendiola Consortium webinar could relate to such as well. And if there are different challenges that the administrators in DepEd have experienced, what did they do? How did they solve that?
Oh, thank you, Miss Sibel, for the question, and Miss Claudette. Um, I think the most difficult challenge personally I faced was like the need to manage our time. I really felt that during the quarantine period, when we were trying to formulate the learning continuity plan, when we were trying to like produce everything we needed to produce because of like very tight uh, deadlines, I felt overwhelmed. So the challenge was, how do you like balance your life while you are like quarantined? How can you proceed with life as if it's normal? As I was saying, that 10 o'clock meeting that would last, that I was referring to 10 o'clock in the evening, when the secretary would hold meetings from 1 in the afternoon to 10. So it's a marathon meeting. So how to gather all the energy, and so I feel that the opportunity to also like be more prayerful because at the end of the day I realized I could not do it on my own. So I had to surrender everything to the Lord. And if we are able to, personally, if I was able to survive those moments, very difficult moments, some of you perhaps have heard about how we were trying to explain things to our legislators, and they would scold us publicly, etc. These are the pressures I think that perhaps in the private sector you would not have. But on top of the work, we had to like communicate. We had to answer questions being raised by the like mainstream media. So it was really overwhelming. But when I realized that I could not do things on my own, I surrendered everything to God, and it made life easier for me. And I really can share that there are countless, numerous, miraculous moments that came my way when, like, I felt I could not do it anymore. Suddenly, I would like feel that there is something. There's an additional energy that I could muster so that I could be yeah, I could deliver on what's expected of me. So I don't know if it was also in your case, like the pressure of time and the fact that we have these virtual platforms for meetings. Before, you can only say, I will attend one meeting in the afternoon. Now at the click of a finger, you're in Paris, you're in Bangkok, attending other meetings that we had to attend as officials of the Department of Education. So um, somehow I'm not complaining, but I feel that we were somehow allowed to do a lot more during this COVID-19 time. And fortunately, with God's help, we were able to do it.
Thank you very much. We got inspiration from your answer. Of course, we have to be reminded all the time that we have to cling to prayers, to our faith in very difficult. And I'd like to congratulate you, Yusek, and everyone at DepEd. Thank you for doing your best for our children and our children's future. Thank you very much. We really appreciate what our teachers at DepEd are doing. Thank you, Yusek.
Welcome,
Yes.
Miss Saib.
And I do hope yun nga po na-address na ni Yusek yung tanong ni Miss Hybel. But there's also a question here from Miss Kat of CEU. So what are the best practices that we can benchmark from your department or agency, since you've already formulated strategies for the upcoming face-to-face settings in our field, since we're under TED. So since nga po, we have colleges under the Mendiola Consortium, is there somehow things that we could also try to adopt in the higher education setting? Parang ganun po ata yung tanong ni Ma'am Kat.
I think what is beautiful now, I mean, is the fact that we have like opportunities to explore how technology can uh, help us in the things that we do. So perhaps optimizing technology. DepEd, of course, has not been able to do this. Like I know that most private schools really relied on essentially online learning, distance learning, while we had to offer uh, printed distance learning option for our learners, considering that most of them did not have access to the internet. So perhaps but we tried. We optimized the use of technology. As I mentioned, we have DepEd Commons. So all this, and we realized that some of these are even available at no extra cost. There are open sources for the learning management systems that we can use, and of course the value of making use of our networks. And I really salute your initiative. I did not even know that there is this 45-year-old consortium in Mendiola among you. But I feel that as you have also realized, problems and challenges, especially the common ones, are addressed better when you come together and explore things together. And that's the other. I think I was very clear about the idea of massive consultation, collaboration as a way to go, and empowering people. I really agree with Secretary Liling that the central office should not dictate everything, and we cannot just prescribe a one-size-fits-all response to the challenges that we have. So I'm also a firm believer of empowerment, and really, if you allow people to be very innovative, you will not have to worry about the details of the ways challenges should be addressed, but it's just like clarifying that these are the things that we want to accomplish, and the organizational units, perhaps in your case, your respective departments within the university or the college, can actually be authorized and empowered to design their own interventions. Never forgetting that it's all about making sure that the learners, the youngsters, are able to learn better and get the support they need and they deserve from educators like us.
Okay, so thank you for that one, sir. As I've summarized what you've just told us, it's important to optimize technology. And of course, since nga po, we're already a consortium that lasted for 45 years and counting, it's more of strengthening the collaboration and empowerment that we're providing for not just for our students, but also for the faculty and non-teaching personnel behind uh, this process. Okay, there's also another question from Arjun Rodriguez Espiritu, who is, I guess, from College of the Holy Spirit, Manila. How do other countries resume school during the pandemic? What can we learn from them? So since I guess, Yusek, you've had meetings from other countries, education professionals from other countries, paano daw po natin kaya magagawa yun? Or what are the things that we learned from them?
Arjan, yes, actually, the fact is we are among the few countries who have not been able to really reopen the physical classrooms for our learners to actually report and come and attend classes. But most of our neighbors and the countries around the world have um, allowed the resumption of the face-to-face or in-classroom learning in basic education. And among those lessons we have noted would be the need for staggered schedules. So learners, and of course, we are going to implement these elements when we have the chance, once authorized to implement the limited face-to-face option. We'll have staggered schedules. Not all children will go to school on the same day, and at the same time, perhaps grades one will come earlier. After 30 minutes, another grade comes. They don't have to come like attend the school in person classes like how the longer than like before prior to COVID-19. So these are, of course, things that we will also do. Some countries actually have very strong also collaboration with their local governments and stakeholders. And for example, in Indonesia, they have a map of the different places showing the risk levels of the areas, so it's easy for them to monitor because the design of their intervention is also dependent on the risk level of the area. I mean, the kind of things that they could do. So things like this are also of course going to be a part of what we are doing now. So um, they also say that it's easier to control the behavior of the children while they are in school. So, and but the concern would be, especially for those that would commute or walk from their homes to school, that's another problem. That's why we're saying that the local government should be actively engaged when we finally allow face-to-face classes to resume, because outside the campuses, the local officials should be somehow given the authority to also help us manage the behavior of the youngsters.
All right. So we hope, Sir Arjun, your question was addressed by Yusek. With that, we actually have no more questions left. I guess since nga po napaka-detailed naman nung na-discuss ni Yusek kanina when it comes to how they went over dun sa mga process of coming up with all of the things that they've had with Sulong Edukalidad, Futures Thinking, and the other platforms that they're using for our basic education learners. So sa tingin ko po, it's timely that we go, Ms. Sibyl, to the awarding of certificate for
Yes.
USEC.
Thank you very much, Ms. Claudette, for facilitating our question and answer. Okay, so we proceed with the awarding of our plaque of recognition for USEC San Antonio. The plaque of recognition, the text reads, Mendiola Consortium, Mendiola, Manila, Centro Escolar University, College of the Holy Spirit, Manila, San Beda University, La Consolacion College, Manila, St. Jude Catholic School awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Undersecretary Diosdado M. San Antonio, Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, Department of Education, for his invaluable contribution as resource speaker in the webinar, Journeying Together as Partners in the Mission of Education, Addressing the Challenges of Present-Day Learners, Part 2, on the Mendiola Consortium's 45th anniversary given this 19th day of March 2021 via webinar. Signed, Dr. Carmencita H. Salonga, Executive Director, Mendiola Consortium, Centro Escolar University. Signed, Father Aloysius Maria Imaranan, OSB, President at San Beda University and Chair of the Mendiola Consortium. Thank you very much, USEC Diosdado San Antonio.
Welcome po. And thank you, Ren, for the privilege of being able to have this session with you.
Thank you very much, USEC. God bless you. All right, so this time we now proceed with the introduction of our second speaker. Our second speaker, a faculty researcher from the University of Santo Tomas, Manila, is a member of the technical panel for transnational education and distance education of the Commission on Higher Education and a member of the CHED Technical Working Group for Flexible Learning. She holds academic degrees and international certifications, diploma in e-learning in South Korea a certified professional specialist in distance education, University of Wisconsin Madison, USA. International certification on e-skills from Inwant, Germany, MA in Development Education, University of Santo Tomas, and Master of Philosophy in Development Studies, Massey University, New Zealand. She is an APEC Learning Community of Builder member since 2007 and the APEC Learning Community of Builders or ALCOB Philippine branch representative since 2016. She is also one of the APEC international researchers for the CEDI project and a research fellow at Busan National University, South Korea. Prior to her engagements as consultant of multinational corporations and embassy and government organizations, she was also the project officer, the budget director, and the director of the Educational Technology Center of the University of Santo Tomas. She popularized the development and utilization of e-textbooks in the Philippines and has more than 2 decades of experience in developing, implementing, and integrating technology to support learning and teaching. She is a math teacher, a researcher, an industry practitioner, a policy maker, an innovator, and an advocate of quality education towards development. Let us all welcome Associate Professor Maria Nina Inancilio Calaca, MA, MPhil of the Department of Mathematics and Physics, College of Science of the University of Santo Tomas, and member of CHED Technical Panel for Transnational Education and Distance Education, and CHED Technical Working Group for Flexible Learning.
To Father Aloysius Maranan, Dr. Wina Marie Medina, Sister Maria Luz Mijares, Dr. Maria Cristina Padolina, Father Roland Aquino, Ms. Bernardita Traje, Dr. Rosita Navarro, Dr. Maria Yuyao, Dr. Carmencita Salonga, and to our Mayor Francisco Esco Moreno Dumagoso. A pleasant good afternoon po. And to everyone who is with us this afternoon, good afternoon. This afternoon, I will be sharing with you my presentation about emerging, adapting, and innovating to the new normal. CHED Memorandum Order Number 4, Series of 2000, is about the guidelines on the implementation of flexible learning, and it covers programs both for the graduate and the undergraduate programs. It covers both the public and the private HEIs, and the adoption period starts from the academic year 2020 to 2021. It consists also, or it contains all mid-year annual monitoring and assessment. Ongoing students of the Philippine HEIs, including first-year students of every academic year, is also covered by the CMO. The CMO has 6 essential components, that is on technology, content and learning materials, evaluation, support services, policies overview, and orientation guide for students and faculty and staff. The CHED Memorandum Order Number 4, however, is not an authority to operate in lieu of the Transnational Education or TNE, nor of CMO 62 series of 2016 or the PSG for TNE programs, nor on distance learning under RA 10650 or the Open Distance Learning Act. My sharing this afternoon consists of several parts, and the first part of it is on the shocks and aftershocks of the pandemic. The world of education before the COVID-19 is a real challenge for us to keep into the education business and to keep into the education service. We are swarmed with different challenges. Learning was far from guaranteed. challenge was already daunting even before COVID-19. Enrollment is slowly going down. The quality of education is slowly going down as well, while content of education is becoming a concern. Come pandemic, the school closures and the education disruptions. The ability of the school to respond to school closure changes dramatically with level of development. During the second quarter, 86% of children in primary education have been effectively out of school in countries with low human development. And more so, this has been a challenge also for the or for the different levels of education and trainings affected. The disruptions caused by COVID-19 to everyday life meant that as many as 40 million students worldwide have missed out on education. They miss a stimulating and enriching environment, learning opportunities, and social interaction, and in some cases, adequate nutrition. In technical and vocational education and training systems, vulnerabilities including low level of digitization and low standing structural weaknesses have been brought to light by the crisis. Disruptions in workplaces made it difficult to implement apprenticeship schemes or OJTs and practicums and work-based learning modes. Key elements of a functional and market-responsive technical and vocational system is a challenge. In the higher education subsector, while online learning has generally taken place through recorded lectures and online platforms, some universities have postponed learning and teaching until further notice. This is due to the lack of the information technology infrastructure for both the students and the teachers. Questions also remain about how to harmonize semesters and academic calendars, as some programs have been successfully implemented online, while others could not be done. As we continue in delivering education, an exacerbation of disparities in learning opportunities is already there. It has been a concern that domestic chores, especially for girls, and the work required to run households on farms and can also prevent students from getting sufficient learning because they have to attend to different activities and participate in the different activities at home. Children with disabilities who were already marginalized before the outbreak are not always included in strategies of distance learning. The most vulnerable learners are also among those who have poor digital skills and the least access to the hardware and connectivity required for the distance learning solutions implemented during school closures. In 7 low-income countries, less than 10% of the poorest households have electricity, and this is based on the study of World Bank. Many learners in developing countries, especially the youngest and minority groups, are not fluent in the language of instruction. Even when they could access content, they could not understand because of the living conditions, or it could be because of the economic stress, or it could be because of the low educational level of parents, including digital skills that meant that many children did not benefit from the stable environment and the learning support needed to adapt to these new modes of instruction. Students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are more likely to lack reading opportunities, a quiet room, and parental support during school closure. The learning loss in the short and long term is expected to be great. Researchers in Canada estimate that the socioeconomic skills gap could increase by more than 30% due to the pandemic. The World Bank identifies 3 possible scenarios for the loss of learning: a reduction in average learning levels for all students, a widening of the distribution of learning achievements due to highly unequal effects of the crisis on various populations, or a significant increase of students with very low level of achievement, due in part to massive dropouts. This suggests 25% more students may fall below a baseline level of proficiency needed to participate effectively and productively in society and in future learning a result of the school closures only. An increased dropout is anticipated. In addition to the learning loss, the economic impact on household is likely to widen the inequalities in education achievement. Should millions be pushed into severe poverty, empirical evidence shows that children from households in the poorest quantiles are significantly less likely to complete primary and lower secondary education than those in the richest quantile. What more in the Philippine higher education if the basic education is a problem? With the combined effect of the pandemic's worldwide economic impact and the school closures, the learning crisis would turn into a general catastrophe. A ripple effect beyond education is being seen. The education disruption will continue to have substantial effects extending beyond education. And many of these have been laid out in previous policy briefs in the Philippines and include, for instance, food insecurity, economic instability, and sometimes violence against women and girls. Closures of schools and other educational institutions are hampering the provision of essential services students and communities really need. The disruption also concerns health and psychosocial services, since education institutions also serve as platform for prevention, diagnosis, and counseling. As a result, vulnerable groups are experiencing both a loss of essential services and a lack of social protection mechanism. As with previous pandemics, COVID-19 has shown that education institution closures represent an increased risk for women and girls as they are more vulnerable to multiple types of abuse such as domestic violence, transactional sex, and early and forced marriages. It might not be evident or rampant here in Manila, but it is very much in the provinces. The closure have also affected the ability of many parents to work. A significant share of working parents rely on child care and schools. The International Labor Organization studies project that working hour losses will represent up to 400 million full-time jobs. As parents who lose income make difficult choices, enrollment in girls' education rates may decline, while child labor, recruitment, and exploitation rise. With the number of people in the extreme poverty due to COVID-19, it is projected that it will soar as high as 100 million, in which attention should be paid to dropouts. School closures will not have only immediate economic consequences, but long-lasting effects. And that is why we need to join our efforts. So in this particular presentation, or in this particular, what we call as the learning continuity plan, part 2, which is learning to learn during this pandemic, is I hope we are taking seriously our learning continuity plan that the CHED Memorandum Order has given us. Even before the TWG, even before the forming of the TWG, CHED actually requested me to give my insights, and I have given my thoughts that it should start with self-assessment. So with self-assessment, you have to think of only 4 important components. So that is learner readiness. And learner readiness as the first one, I would say is the least to consider because our learners are already ready. They are technology savvy. They are ready when it comes to ICT. So their skills is there already to use the technology. Access is a concern for them because we don't know where they are going to access. How much to spend is an additional expense during closures. We should know our students' limitations. We should know their challenges, their strengths. Maybe it would be good if we know what they have, what they own, and what they have access to. So it's a question of where do they access, what devices they own, what devices they have access to. The second important component would be the system infrastructure readiness for our learning continuity plan. HEIs could be with or without infrastructure. But the concern here is looking into your infrastructure would concern your immediate and long-term plan. So you have to look what is your plan 2023, what is your plan up to 2025, or maybe 10 years from now, what is your plan? Are you willing to invest or not? That is a question. Are you going to invest in a learning management system? If you are to invest in a learning management system, you have to consider that it should have a capability for offline mode. So meaning to say it must be able to cater for users or students with challenging internet connectivity issues. So those without or very low connectivity must be addressed by the offline mode component or capability of the LMS. Your LMS must have a responsive design, meaning to say it can be accessed using different devices, not only on laptops, but also on the smartphones or tablets or any other devices. Cross platforms would be better. So the strategy, this one of system infrastructure readiness should go hand in hand with institutional support readiness. So institutional support readiness as the third component that we would like you to focus on is for the state universities and local universities, it is covered by the government and CHED is supporting them. The government is supporting them. And my idea before is this must be shouldered, all expenses must be shouldered under the Bayanihan, which was carried. So the concern now is for the private HEIs. The question is the school willing to invest? So where do you want to go? In 2023, what do you want to be? In 2025 and 10 years hence, what do you want? Investment is very much needed, but investment or investing nowadays is very difficult because of the different challenges. The question is, will CHED be willing to support private HEIs? Recently, I was requested by CHED to join them in a Senate hearing. And in the Senate hearing, it was discussed that the Philippine government is proposing a new Republic Act, and they will be giving sort of a 10 billion funds for all government-owned institutions and offices. But where is the private HEI there? The private HEIs are actually not included in the new or the proposed Republic Act. So that leaves us now that we have really to work on our own as private HEIs. So that's a concern now for us. The last one is the faculty readiness. So this is the fourth item. All COEs, CODs, level 3, level 4 accredited programs or institutions with this level of accreditation, with DE or TNE permit, we expect them to have the faculty ready to roll out online learning. However, we're not sure because when we tried checking on the schools, that's not the reality. For HEIs that are not ready, HEI may have an LMS subscription as an immediate solution. And sometimes there are LMS providers and training for teachers is already part of it. Online training, however, can be available for providers that are established already, while some can be taken online from free websites. While under RA 10650, UPOU is also mandated by the law that it must provide trainings for free. But it's a question of, are we looking at a band-aid solution or a long-term solution? If we are to invest, not only on the infrastructure, but on our faculty members, the question is, are we willing to go back to the old normal after the pandemic? That is the question. It's difficult because for faculty members that are not ready, you really have to invest a lot on them. Investing could be done in several ways. You could actually form teams within your school because maybe you have one or two or three experts in your school. Or maybe a consortium like this could be of help. A consortium that can act as a support group, a consortium that can act as the lead in all the activities and in all the initiatives. You can roll out massive training on distance education. You can partner with UPOU. You can partner with SIMIO, with the OST, and other organizations who have ready materials. Still on faculty readiness, the question is how many faculty members will stay with us after providing them with the necessary skills, providing them with necessary trainings. Of course, incentives must be there. And our suggestion is that we have to make this training as part of the faculty development program, or it could be as a CPD for license renewal. So partnerships and consortia could actually play a big role because not all schools are actually capable of providing faculty training. And this is one avenue for you to share resources and experts. There are several consortia among the Philippine HEIs that are already going on. So Region 1, they have their consortium, and in their consortium, they share trainings, LMS, and content development, but the implementation after all the trainings and the development is different. So the different HEIs have their own freedom on how to implement or deliver the content. Region 3 also has a training, LMS, and content partnership under their own consortium. Region 5 also has one, Region 8 has another one, and Region 9 also has a consortium. These are some of the consortium that I am aware of, and they are actually supported by CHED, the ICT as well, in the form of RECPE grants or IDIG, and recently the Smart Campus. The RECPE and the IDIG grants are actually extended to the private HEIs. However, the Smart Campus was not extended to the private HEIs. Smart Campus is really intended for infrastructure development, while RECPE is for training and content. IDIG is more of support that cannot be covered by RECPE. So these are actually ongoing projects now. And I hope the Mendiola Consortium was able to submit in any of this and avail of the different supports that CHED is providing now. There are also other forms of partnership, and one of that is the Singapore Polymall. The Singapore Polymall is like a mall, but there are 5 different universities who share the system, the infrastructure, and even the resources. So it's a long-term plan actually for them. It's a long-term plan that they are actually using, and this has been in existence for about 4 years now, if I am not mistaken. The model of Vietnam, FPT University is also another form of consortia that is worth discussing with you. FPT University is in partnership with different industries. If FPT is a residential university, so you can see students there, they stay, they live there, but you can only see tutors in the campus. The experts are actually out in the industry. They have a long list of experts, and students can choose from whom they would like to learn from. So it's an online education, and the only face-to-face is on some subjects or courses like physical education, art appreciation. These are some of the things that they do inside the campus. All the rest that includes or requires skills and competencies of experts, it is being done online. So it's a win-win solution actually, and it's working very well. because the industry can actually choose their best prospective employees, while the students actually are learning the necessary skills and competencies of what the industry really needs. So going back to our learning or business continuity plan under CMO number 4, it has 7 basic components. Under Section 4, it has the executive summary, systems and procedures, policies, constant dialogue, health and safety protocols, overview, and mechanism. Now, I colored blue on some items because that is where I think you can actually work on, or the consortium could actually be very participative in terms of the different initiatives. On the systems and procedures, like people, modalities, resources, so you can actually share your resources. You can actually now go into um, borrowing some experts, or it could be sharing of the programs or the curriculum. So it depends on you on how you want the consortium to be. So, or it could be transfer credit, or it could be your students to attend schooling if they have the laboratory. It depends on you. The consortium actually provides limitless opportunities. Even on policies on enrollment, you can actually come up with the same policy on enrollment, so that transfer credit, or if a student would like to have cross enrollment because you might not have enough faculty members, so it's a concern of who can do what actually. Or on health and safety protocols, I don't know, but they say na malikot ang pag-iisip ko. But if you are Mendiola Consortium and you can have a control of the area, because last week I went to Manila, and after maybe 5-6 years, I happened to pass around the Mendiola area, and I noticed that there are some campuses there that you actually have steel bars. So you can practically close that area. And I don't know if you can apply health and safety protocols by closing the Mendiola area and making it really safe for your students, so that students can really go around safely. So it's like a small community, and there is like you have a policy, no? You can have your own policy who can come in, and once the students are already in that vicinity, they cannot go out. So you can actually have your very strict implementation of health and safety protocols. So, but it's a consortium, so it depends on you. As I have mentioned, malikot po ang pag-iisip ko, but I see it as, since it's a Mendiola Consortium and you can have a control, and I guess even the people in that community will agree with you and will like that idea, that you will have a tight security of the area, so that everyone could enjoy and could move freely, and students could actually come and attend school. And maybe, who knows, face-to-face schooling could also happen if you can do that. So there are so many things that you can actually do in your consortium. But one thing is very evident in this consortium, that we are actually after. The first thing that concerns us actually is the capability building. So, but the question here is, what happens if the pandemic cannot be resolved this 2021? So what happens to us? Do we have a plan? Do we have another possible solution? What will be the actions that we will take if the pandemic will not be resolved this 2021? When I attended the Senate public hearing, even the government is expecting that this will not be over until 2023. So their expectation is until 2023, and they are planning until 2023. So what does it mean? That it means that we have to plan as well. And based on the public hearing, They are saying that all government offices will be required, and institutions, government offices and institutions will be required to provide housing to their skeletal staff who will be required to come to the office, housing, um, transportation services will be required as well. So what will happen now to us in the private HEIs? Maybe we can also do the same. So the consortia can come up with shared transportation services for the staff, maybe, and the faculty, or we can have shared housing, maybe. So these are some of the different concerns that we need to think of. And of course, we have to consider the high level views of possible recovery visions given that one. So we're not going anywhere because on the third, I'm sorry, nag-record. Apo, thank you, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, the third part, given that the recovery, there should be a recovery vision, is that we're not going anywhere. Sorry for that. We're not going anywhere. So, and we're not going anywhere, and we have to move forward. We have to transition to the new normal. There is no old normal. There is a new normal, but there will be no old normal. You are investing, we are investing, and who wants to go back? No one is, no one will agree that they will go back. Even the students will not agree that they will go back. They will always say that they have already the content, they have already invested on the devices, and they are accustomed already to this way of learning, this way of modality. So it will be difficult for everyone. I'm sorry for that one. So learning to learn during this pandemic is something that we have to learn and we have to consider. And according to World Bank, there are 3 steps, and that is coping, managing the continuity, and improving and accelerating. This is how World Bank sees it in 2020, but we are already in 2021. And I think most of the schools actually have experienced this. And we are now trying to move into improving and accelerating. EDUCOS in 2021 gave another meaning on this, and they said that the 3 steps here are restore, evolve, and transform. So these are the 3 steps that EDUCOS actually mentioned. And in these 3 steps, we are saying that it could be taken, actually, it could be taken in such a way it could be taken in such a way that it could be taken, where are we now, referring to the first context, or when I said assessment, we have to assess where we are now, of course. So assessment here means that you should not stop having your assessment, or do, because you've done it already in 2020. You should continue assessing yourself. So we must now be in that level where we know where we are at. So are we in the restoration phase? Are we in the evolve phase now? Or are we in the transformation phase now? Restoring is where we focus on figuring out what to do to get back to where we were before the pandemic. So it's a question of, where are we now? Are we still in the restore stage, or are we already in the evolve stage, where we try to focus on adapting to the new normal, or in the transformation stage where we want to focus on redefining our institutions and taking an active role in creating the innovative future of higher education. So where are we now? So it's a question, where do we want to go and where are we at present? So it's like planning, no? So it's part of planning. And I would like to share with you the results of the EDUCAS conference in 2021, where they came up with these three stages of restore, evolve, and transform. So the different institutions and the different experts are actually gathered, and they were asked to rate different issues that concerns education on a scale of 1 to 10. And they tried to rank all the issues, and this is the result of the issues. Now, I don't know if it will be the same if we do it in the Philippines. Maybe the consortia can do it so that you can find out what really is the concern. Um, Schools in the consortia can do this alone, and schools or the consortia itself can do it um, and ask the different schools under the consortia to participate and share the results so that the consortia can actually come up with a unified plan of action. It's a very good strategy. When I read the manuscript, it's almost 70 pages manuscript. It's good because you can really see how they want to be later on. So it's a plan. It's a plan actually of where we are going later on. So the different issues might be different for us, and the issues might be different with a different institution. So it would be good if you will look at this one and find out and try to assess where you are now. Are you in the restore stage? Are you in the evolve stage? Or are you in the transform stage? It could be taken in that context. Or it could be taken also in a different context, like um, during the restoration period, these are the issues that we have considered. Now that we are in the evolving stage, these are what we want to consider. And in the transformation stage, these are the issues that we would like to consider as well. But remember that during this period, we are already in the transformation period. We are moving now towards the new normal. So this is already the transformation period. So it's very important for you to determine where you are now at present. Are you in the restoration or are you in the involved stage? It would be good if you can check. Okay. The methodology that was done by EDUCOS is also very good because they tried to correlate the different issues. What issue affects which issue? And it's very good. This actually explains the what. No? What issues are important, how you can do it actually. It will give you an idea how the consortia or how you as an institution can do it and why maybe it is needed. The points of intersection actually gives us very good information because it tells us what we need as a consortia. It tells us also maybe our strength. It could be a challenge maybe, or it could be an opportunity. Because when you consider that as an issue, you consider that because it could be a need on your part. It could be your strength. That is why you put it there. Or it could be a challenge for you, or it could be an opportunity for you. But we know that challenges could be converted into opportunities. So the consortia is a very good avenue for everyone to share resources and to take part and benefit from the partnership. So there are so many things that we need to consider. And in the Transform, there's a group of folks who said that folks who are not native technologies and for whom, no, this is according, by the way, to David Saydale. David said that there's a group of folks who are not native technologists and for whom the current situation is a massively depressing model, if we don't find ways to engage them, they may really suffer. We saw something interesting with our students. Some who do really well with a structured day in college did not do well going home. So on the other hand, many students who are good at adapting to structured events and who tended to not do as well in a structured instructional environment did a lot better with at-home instruction. So the transform scenario involves actually a change. So it's a change. It's a change that influences maybe the lifestyle of a student. It is a change that many students, faculty, and staff maybe have now discovered that they actually can learn and work remotely. So there are so many revelations, and there are so many considerations now going on. More effectively, they can work remotely than ever imagined. And this is a worldwide realization actually. So, however, there are overlapping futures, and for us to clear those overlapping futures, as we call them, or opportunities, maybe it would be good if you can go back to your LCP, or I call it actually a business continuity plan, because education is a business. Because if we cannot continue it, business will be down. So we have to close the school. But the question is, what is your target 3 years from 2020? 5 years, 10 years maybe? So you have to list down the different issues. So you may go away maybe from the issues identified by EDUCOS, but maybe you as a consortium could identify your own issues during restoration, during the evolve period, or during the transform period. So what makes the issue difficult for you to address it this 2021, or maybe in 2023, because the government is saying that this will last until 2023? So what if the pandemic is not resolved? So what will happen? So what are the points of intersection where you can actually do partnership, and what actions can you do from that point? This is the rethink and innovate part, which I would say there are several gaps between executives. No? So this is something that we can learn actually from the industry. This scenario that there is gaps between the executives' current roles in capability building and the roles the people want them to play, their employees, how the employees want them to play. The roles of the senior executives in capability programs is different from what the employees are expecting. And maybe we can learn from them, and looking into, as a school administrators, what are the current roles in capability building? How do we come up with our capability building programs? What type of capability programs do we provide to our staff, to our faculty? So what are those? And maybe it's about time that we look into the roles the faculty and the teachers would like also to play. So it's a two-way scenario actually. So it's expectation check on this part now. No? So kailan ba tayo nagkaroon ng expectation check? Have we ever done, simula nung mag-lockdown tayo, have we done an expectation check? Did we ask our faculty and staff kung ano na ngayon yung ina-expect nila na magiging role nila? We administrators might be thinking of something else na mayroon ding nakikita ang mga faculty, teachers, at mga staff natin. Or it could be the other way around. No? May nakikita tayo na hindi naman nakikita ng mga faculty at saka ng mga teachers and staff. So it's really a two-way, and communication is very important. But communication is challenge actually during this time of pandemic. No? So thanks to technology, because of technology, it can bridge, but we cannot really achieve or attain that level of sufficiency in terms of masaya ka kasi nakita mo, nakangiti siya. No? We cannot do that unless we do a virtual conversation, and you require that video will be on. But if there is no video and it's only a voice recording, it's different. So maybe it's about time that we look into the roles and functions of our teachers and the students as well. So for the teachers, maybe it's about time that they ask the students how they want this, how the students want the lessons to be delivered to them. So I know that many studies have been done on this. So it's about time that we do check and try to plan from that, no? Okay. So we need to rethink. We need to rethink also the academic programs that we currently offer. We need to rethink and make use or take the opportunity that we have a consortium and ask ourselves who leads to deliver what and who participates. Um, in 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 the new CMO that will be released, there will be a lead HEI who can deliver a program under a consortium, and there could be participating or cooperating HEI. So it will be a concern now of who will offer what. Okay, so who will offer what? Meaning to say, you can save on hiring faculty members because you can actually share experts in that area. You can share resources that is an area to be open to you very soon. You can share resources, but you can actually have separate program delivery. There are some schools that I know of, a system in which they share the resources. So they got subscriptions as a system, and all the schools in that system get to have the privilege and all the services they can use actually because of the partnership under the system. So kung system sila, isa lang ang subscription, but all the schools get to enjoy all the services and all the benefits. So it's a good strategy. So you save on the cost, okay? You save on the services because kaunti na lang yung magsaserve, especially if it is like an online library. Online subscriptions is very important, and yet it's very expensive. So this is a way where you can actually share resources, share on the cost. So it depends on you. But on the academic programs that you offer, it's a question of who will give the diploma. Will it be a shared diploma? Will the different institutions acknowledge or provide also different diploma? Or is it the lead HEI who will provide the diploma? So it depends on your agreement, actually. You have to rethink also of the transnational education. Transnational education, but of course, you, at the back of your hand, don't forget that will affect also your consortium, no? So how will it affect the consortium? So expansion of the TNE program by the Philippine higher education institutions is needed, especially now that that education in public schools, no, in SUKs and LUKs are free. So anong laban ng private HEIs? Walang laban si private HEIs. So the only solution for us now is really to offer programs, no, international programs or innovative programs through TNE. So that is the solution for us. It's a concern of either we export or we import educational services. We have to go now and try to act on this while CMO4 series of 2020 is still in effect because we are a little lax about the requirements, no? So you can now partner, but in terms of partnership, still, this is where the lead HEI will come in. No? Only schools or HEIs with level 3 accreditation or with COEs, CODs can actually be the lead institution. In other countries and abroad, in UK actually, this is very successful, no? Yung consortia na ganitong type. So what they do is that studies or delivery of the programs are being done actually in small schools, but the head of the program is in the lead institution. So the diploma, the one who issues the diploma is the big university. siya yung lead university. So syempre, if there is a student who would like to enroll, you will enroll, no? You will be captivated by the promotion that your diploma will be from this university, and it's a big university. So definitely you will enroll because it's a foreign program. But the program will be delivered by a small HEI because the cost of services that will be delivered is cheaper. So I don't know how you will do it because in the Philippine HEI, we are still quite nagbabantay, or we are checking on schools because our regulation is that only schools who have the capability level 3 COE COD can be the lead institution. But maybe it could be that is the lead institution, no? Still, that is the lead institution. And maybe if the small HEI has the capability to deliver it in terms of infrastructure, then maybe it could be done through that HEI. But of course, the faculty members who will deliver it must come, or the experts who will deliver the course must come from the mother HEI. I know you will be able to come up with a very innovative partnership on that part. But we really need to expand TNE, and we really need to open new programs. Otherwise, the way we looked at it, small schools actually, dalawa lang po yan. Sumabay ka, sumunod ka para ka mag-survive, or totally mamamatay ka. The government is pumping funds and grants sa mga state universities. Ang private HEIs po, although we get a very small pie of the grant, it is not sufficient for us para po tayo mag-survive ng ganun, especially for the small school. So yung small school nga, baka ngayon nga, problema pa nila, no? Hindi pa sila, nandun pa sila sa restore. Kasi ang mga schools na nasa restore stage ngayon, usually these are schools with low connectivity. These are the schools na mayroon pa rin silang mga print-based materials. So these are the school na nandun sa restore stage up to now. Wala pa sila dun sa evolve. Even though it is a plan for them na dapat ay nandun sila, still, when you check, they are not yet there. So it is really a concern for us. So it depends on you where you want to go. Or do you want to have virtual universities? Kasi as of now, there are so many virtual universities that have emerged, and traditional universities are also beginning to offer degrees online. If you can see online, there are so many programs. No? There are so many programs being given in the form of scholarship. And in every 5 minutes, I think, may mga ipinopost na scholarship ngayon. You have to take note and grab the opportunity now na open siya. Bilateral agreements has to stay. So education po ay nandun. And that's also the reason why ang dami nilang ipinoprovide na scholarships. So if you can contact the school, no, and come up with a scholarship for your group, then that would be good. So sino yung mga pwedeng bigyan nun? Yung mga faculty members na kailangang matapos ng PhD or masteral, pwede nyo po muna silang i-off at sila ay pag-aralin this time. Because there are so many available scholarships. Most of the scholarships po ngayon, they are not required to travel abroad, no? They will be required to travel only kung walang COVID presence na doon or safe na sila na mag-travel. So please try to check on those. Ang dami po. We have to rethink also functionality of the brick and mortar. Sorry for the typo error. I think the computer changed that. It's the physical school that we are talking here. No? Sorry for that. It's the physical school. If we plan 2023 or 2025, what are we trying to plan? Is it still a face-to-face that we would like to happen after? Face-to-face is for schools who cannot move from the restore period or the restore stage. If you cannot move forward, then ikaw talaga yung school na nasa restore. And maybe you are looking forward into face-to-face pa rin right after the pandemic. No? Or you are looking at limited face-to-face or blended learning perhaps. No? So if you are looking at this one, then you have to think of the new functionality of your physical school. Are you looking at into a residential school now? This thing that we are saying that COVID is not COVID is going to stay. It's not going away. So it will be here with us and it will be part of our daily lives. So it's a question now of what will happen now to our physical school. So we have now to rethink of the new functionality. And some schools maybe could innovate by um, transforming their school into a residential school. So students will come to your school, board and lodging accommodation will be part of the services of the school. But of course, the number of students will be lower down as compared before because you will be converting some of your rooms into different forms. But you are providing also the necessary and the correct safety protocols because they cannot go out of the school. So residential talaga, boarding school. And some schools are actually doing this already. Some schools in the provinces are doing this. And maganda yung, so far, maganda yung kinakalabasan ng ganitong sistema nila. The idea of the school is that parents will also pay for the housing, accommodation, food, etc. of the students. So here, when the student is in the school, mas kampante yung parents, no? And they pay straight to the school. And they know that the student cannot go out of the school premises kasi mahigpit yung security ng school. Once they get into the school, they cannot go out unless it's end of the semester. So that's a very good practice. But I don't know how you will now look at your school. So you have to rethink now, what can you do? What can you offer now to your students? But if this happens, it will now really be a concern of digital divide. So the rich can afford. Those na medyo may challenge financially will transfer to another school. So may mga considerations po tayo. That's why to have a learning continuity plan is very important. So think 3 years, 5 years from now, where do you want to go? What do you want the Mendiola Consortium to be 3 years, 5 years from now? So you have to rethink of, for me, it's 4 items: systems and procedures, adapted for the transition. So it is about the people or the support services, the faculty that you have, the modalities, okay, the sources, the support services for students and faculty. It could be the assessment of effectiveness, teaching, learning activities and requirements. It could be the expected outcomes. You can share that, or including the OJT and the practicum could be part. Because if you are one community already at naka-close si Mendiola for your services, then OJT and practicum would be very easy for you because you can actually move around within the community of the Mendiola. But doon lang sa vicinity kung saan yung mga schools ay talagang confined. No? I know na marami din naman pong, there are many private houses, no, na nandoon din along the area or the community. So it could be policies on enrollment. But by the way, going back to that one, families would also, sometimes they will cooperate with you. And they will agree that they are parang within the campus sila, no? Parang ganun ang mangyayari, that they are part of the system, that they will also follow the safety protocols if you do that. You can share policies on enrollment, attendance, reporting, updating. So there are so many other things you can share, yung sa plagiarism, mga applications, etc. Or you can have one system, one database where you can upload so that you would know kung sino ang nagpe-plagiarize, who is copying what. No? So the consortium actually is very important on this part. You can have also constant dialogue, of course, with LGU and with IATF and other relevant stakeholders. And there are so many things that you can rethink of. Of course, when we think and when we try to innovate, do not forget our international partners, our local partners as well, because CHED is there. The Field CHED Connect is available for everyone. So you have there when you open the PhilConnect, we have there different resources that you can use. We have Test the Resources, we have UNESCO ADB, we have from Simeo, Inotech, and CLLSD. So the Mendiola Consortium could actually partner with all of this and get to have access as a consortium or as different institutions as well. So here we are saying that partnership is actually an enabler of change and innovation, and that hasn't changed. Only one thing is constant, and that is change. And in this transition period that we are saying, partnership is here to enable change and innovation. And it's something that we need to nurture and something that we have to start from a simple, small seedling that we would like to grow sometime into a big tree maybe. So with this, thank you very much and congratulations on the 45th anniversary of the Mendiola Consortium. I hope I was able to share something with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Linya I. Calapa. I learned so much from the talk of Associate Professor Calapa. I feel that I even wrote it down that the talk is meaty. It's so rich with everything that it puts our feet to the ground, to the realities that we are experiencing right now. Um, the talk forces us to think of the future of 2022, 2023, or beyond. And Associate Professor Calaka also shared the continuity plan, which the Mendiola Consortium schools may also use. That is first to assess, we assess the learner's readiness, infrastructure, teachers' readiness, and then we can invest on the same thing, infrastructure, faculty members, training, and also we have to strengthen our partnership. Oh, I forgot. Invest on incentives as well. Okay. And also, it was an interesting question when she asked about where are we right now on the stages which she mentioned, the stages such as coping, managing continuity, or improving, and it's accelerating. It's important that we identify which stage we are so we can project and plan the future of our university. Although, of course, very rich on the realities. Like, it's quite sad to realize that the schools, the physical schools, may not be anymore as lively as before. But as she said and shared, we can rethink, or we can consider the classrooms another purpose. Okay. Also, Associate Professor Kalaka challenged all of us to rethink and innovate. We could not stay like how we are. We we have to move with the changes and the tides of time. Lastly and finally, she said, as Mendiola Consortium, we can lead, we can participate, and we can share. So thank you very much, Associate Professor Maria Nina I. Calaca. I learned a lot, and for sure, our viewers learned a lot from your talk as well. So I think we're ready for the open forum. I will be calling my partner this time from Central Escolar University, Miss Claudette Nugent.
Okay, and we're back to our question and answer portion. I agree with Ma'am Sibyl that Associate Professor Calacas' talk was really meaty in the sense that we can relate to it as it is what we are experiencing as of the moment. And yun nga po, consider daw po natin yung mga future options when it comes to our universities. So with that, we're open now for our questions from our viewers. So may we call on Professor Kalaka on screen to be able to answer questions that are posted by our viewers as of the moment. Okay, so good afternoon po ulit, Associate Professor Kalaka.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Sybil and Miss Claudette. Thank you very much. So I'm ready for the questions.
Yes, I think that you've already mentioned this a while ago, but we would of course want to expound on yung kung ano yung tanong po ng ating viewer, which is Miss Bang Rivera from San Beda University. So she says here, Professor Kalaka, may we hear exactly how is CHED assisting the private HEIs in building its capabilities in transitioning to the new normal? If I heard you correctly, are the SUCs receiving aid from the Bayanihan Act? Thank you po.
Hi, Miss Bang. Good afternoon. It was under the RECPE grants that the CHED is helping the different HEIs, including the private HEIs. So the RECPE grant was open to all HEIs through a memorandum order, an invite to all HEIs to submit proposals for content development, faculty training, anything about capability building for faculty members and staff. No, so that was last year. IDIG also was open to the different faculty members because RECPE is under the K to 12 program yung grant niya. So this was the remaining budget, no, from the K to 12. So it was realigned under the Bayanihan. So it can only accommodate mga trainings, no, mga seminars, content development. All other projects that cannot be covered were offered naman under yung grants sa IDIG. And towards the end of towards the end of 2020, mayroon silang inopen that was the Smart Grant or the Smart Campus. However, the Smart Campus is a Republic Act. So the Republic Act is really for private for public HEIs, not for private HEIs. So that's the difference, no? So for private, we have the RECPE and we have the IDIG. But the offering kasi of the grant is may cycle siya, no? So tapos na yung cycle noon last year. So ongoing, the implementations of these projects are now ongoing.
Okay, so I hope, Ms. Bang, that answers your query regarding how CHED is assisting HEIs. And yun nga po, as Assistant Professor mentioned, it's more of the grants that they've already given out to the different universities. And meron din po tayo ng other grants coming from CHED as well. So maybe you could check out also their website as to other programs and grants that they're offering that we could actually acquire or rather sign up to in our respective universities. Okay po. So actually, we have a comment here from Dr. Padolina who's thanking you. Ayan po, nagte-thank you po si Dr. Padolina. Your talk was very rich and it has so many ideas that you've generated.
Thank you very much po, Dr. Padolina. Dr. Padolina po and I, kami po yung nasa TWG ng Flexible Learning. So, ma'am, thank you po.
Okay, so it seems that we're also working closely in hand with CHED naman po talaga. Kitang-kita naman po natin yan with our university presidents. Actually, I have a personal question, ma'am, kasi I was wondering, you've mentioned earlier, yun nga po, we try to think kung magta-transition ba tayo or transform ng university or we really have to face the fact na meron sa atin na kailangan talaga face-to-face. But what is your take po on online on-the-job training? Do you consider it as somehow effective in developing competencies? Kasi po, in our consortia, of course, we're known to produce graduates who are globally competitive. But with the setup that we have now, possible po kaya na maging effective ang ating online on-the-job training?
On the online on the job training, we're not really CHED, no? CHED is not really giving 100% approval on that. It's a case-to-case basis depending on the program. We at the TWG, we really have to go and listen to the proposals of the technical committees of the experts, no? The experts of the concerned program. What we usually do is we ask them to list down the necessary skills and competencies required of the graduate natin. Ano? And with that, we have what we call as the non-negotiable skills and competencies. These non-negotiable skills and competencies are skills and competencies that cannot be done online. These are skills and competencies that must be done face to face, no? Kasi we have really skills and competencies that cannot be delivered online. You really have to be there, no? So we have those. So and after that, they have to check now on the other skills and competencies that can be delivered using alternate modes of delivery. And one of that is the online, or it could be through webinars or seminars, or it could be work from home, maybe. Like at the University of Santo Tomas, I'm an internship coordinator, and we're doing it remotely. The idea is that I'm handling actually applied mathematics students. So we're working with data, so much data. But the concern now is there are very few industries who allow us to have an access to the data because of the Data Privacy Act. So yun yung challenge naman sa amin. Even if allowed nga siya, di ba? Online na sana. So okay lang, the students can learn virtually. The problem is yung pagpayag din ng partner agency is another thing. So we really have to earn the trust of the company. But I don't want to preempt, but it's a good partnership, and I would say that this is actually a model partnership that we are now developing with an industry. It's an academe industry partnership where the students will come in as OJT students, but it's really a project between the university and the industry. So it's a model of industry academe partnership. Kasi one thing that we have to understand nowadays, siguro it's about time that we Philippine HEIs ay mag-mature ng konti. Kasi when we say academe industry partnership, the idea there is mag-solicit. Diba, no? Parang ganun kasi yung idea. Mag-solicit ba? Sorry kay Yusek San Antonio, no? Pero kasi sa DepEd, pag sinabing academe industry partnership, magpapapintura ng school, di ba? Yung mga ganun ba na mga konsepto. But here, we are trying to change the concept of the academe industry partnership in such a way that students will really go into partnership monitored and mentored by the faculty members. So it will come now in the form of a project grant. And students will get to have that. So parang we can address now the concerns of increasing the numbers of faculty members involved in research. So that's one. And we are addressing as well the concern on virtual internship of the students and gaining the trust and confidence of the partner industry. So we really have to think out of the box how we can really na mag-work out ito given the new one very good school who is doing this is Mapua. Mapua is really into industry partnership, no? And Mapua is really expanding, and Mapua is very aggressive. I don't know if okay ba akong baka sa akin pa manggaling. But NTC is also part of Mapua. They are also part of the Ayala now. Si Mapua, si NTC, Ayala na rin sila. So you can see the partnership that is going on. So we have really to innovate this time. So let's give it a different flavor din o siguro para sa mga estudyante natin and teachers as well. Yun. So maraming kwento. Maraming pwedeng gawin kung gusto.
Okay. So So, thank you so much po doon sa binigay niyong question doon sa nagalaro po sa aking isip. Because we already have students who are, yung batch po ng K-12 natin who will be undergoing internship soon. So, that's why parang what are the plans of the universities, and thank you po for giving us an idea as to how we can go about it. Sabi niyo nga po kanina, Prof, dun sa inyong talk, limitless opportunities. Okay.
Limitless talaga. It's really limitless, and it depends on you how you will address the concerns. There's no harm in trying. We in the TWG, we cannot tell the institutions what to do, but we can only give examples, and we can say that, you know, they do this, they do that. But it depends on you how will you do it, how you will contextualize things and come up with your own, you know, innovative ways of delivering your. We have to be very competitive. That's one thing that I'm very sure of. Each and every institution must be very competitive these days, because the kind and type of education that each and every institution is offering is actually the same, because we are following the same CMO for that program, diba? So what makes you different now is the kind of services that you are offering, the kind of experience that you will provide to your students. So you really have to think out of the box and make it something different.
Okay, that will be really noted po, ma'am. It seems that in their comment sections, there are no more questions posted, and we're already constrained with time. But if Miss Sibyl is with me right now, do you still have any question for Associate Professor?
I'm so satisfied already. So thank you so
Yes.
much, Associate Professor Kalaka, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so thank you po. And we now go to the awarding of the certificate. Ma'am Sibyl, take it away.
All right. So now we proceed with the awarding of plaque of recognition. Of course, once again, thank you, Ms. Claudette, for facilitating our Q&A. Of course, Associate Professor Nina I. Talaka. Okay, the certificate reads Mendiola Consortium, Mendiola Manila Central Escolar University, College of the Holy Spirit Manila, San Beda University, La Consolacion College Manila, St. Jude Catholic School, awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Associate Professor Maria Nina I. Calaca, MA, MPhil, Department of Mathematics and Physics, College of Science, University of Santo Tomas. Member, SHED Technical Panel for Transnational Education and Distance Education, and member of SHED Technical Working Group for Flexible Learning, for her invaluable contribution as a resource speaker in the webinar Journeying Together as Partners in the Mission of Education, Addressing the Challenges of Present-Day Learners, Part 2. On the Mendiola Consortium's 45th anniversary, given this 19th day of March 2021 via webinar. Signed, Dr. Carmencita H. Salonga, the Executive Director of Mendiola Consortium, Central Escolar University. Signed, Reverend Father Aloysius Maria A. Maranan, OSB, President, San Beda University, and Chair of Mendiola Consortium. Thank you very much for sharing your time, your knowledge, your insights. Thank you. And most importantly, thank you for joining us here at Mendiola Consortium in our celebration of our 45th anniversary.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and God bless you. Also, we would like to thank those viewers who raised their questions. Thank you for being active and for engaging and making this afternoon's conversation very exciting and interesting. But for now, we conclude the program with the closing remarks from Dr. Carmencita H. Salonga, Head of the Guidance and Counseling Department, Central Escolar University, and the Executive Director of Mendiola Consortium.
Presidents, colleagues, students, and friends of the Mendiola Consortium, good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking our two prominent resource speakers, Yusek Diosdado San Antonio and Assistant Professor Nina Calaca, for the insights they shared on how our respective schools can continue to emerge from the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Mendiola Consortium is now on its 45th year, having been established in 1975. It is our hope that we continue to learn new ideas from each other. We shall continue to share a common conviction that Mendiola Consortium can be a more potent instrument for change, innovation, and relevance, not only for our immediate constituency, but also for the larger community. My deepest gratitude also goes to all our presidents, Father Aloysius Maranan of San Beda University, Dr. Waina Medina of the College of the Holy Spirit, Manila, Dr. Maria Cristina D. Padolina of the Centro Escolar University, Sister Maria Luz Mijares of La Consolacion College, Manila, and of course, the new director of St. Jude Catholic School, and who will be the next chair of the Mendiola Consortium, Father Roland Aquino. I would also like to express my appreciation to all who made this event possible. Ms. Tata Carpintero, the MC liaison officers, Dr. Rhoda Aguilar, Mr. Gerard Santos, Ms. Presi Katikbak, Ms. Rosalie Cheng, and Ms. Rosel Quito. Also, thank you to Professor June Iron for directing our live streaming to multiple platforms, to Dr. Sophie Robles for our live mass, and to Dr. Ellen Spinas. To our MC, Ms. Sibyl Agreda and Ms. Claudette Nugid, our moderator, and to all of you, the participants, for taking time out of your busy duties or schedules to attend the live mass early this morning and this afternoon's webinar. Indeed, it has been a pleasure being with all of you today, and I wish you all a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asalonga, and thank you everyone for attending the Mendiola Consortium webinar. This concludes our program. Once again, good afternoon, and God bless us all.